Hey guys, how you going? Hopefully you're doing okay. Going to do a live stream probably for about an hour. It's fairly late, 10:30 p.m., 10:34 p.m. So I'm a little bit, a couple of minutes later than I should be. A little bit late for me. Do a sound check quickly. 4 p.m. Yeah, there we go. Sound check complete. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to go through a number of articles, about 10 articles of various kinds, all crime as of the last day or two. United States, America, I think maybe one, England one, maybe not. I'm not entirely sure what I've got prepared. Some of them I'm going to go into quite some details, others I won't. It is what it is, and then we'll wrap things up. Hopefully, a person or two, or perhaps even three, might join me, but maybe not. In the United States, it's all your bedtime. It's What's the time in the United States? Well, it's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., something like that. May get some drifters coming in from Australia in the evening or from the United Kingdom or Europe where it's the morning. But in any case, let's start with the first article. Elon Musk deletes conspiratorial tweet to Hillary Clinton, suggesting Paul Pelosi's attacker was a gay prostitute. Okay, so yes, this is a true crime live stream. I don't really want to focus too much on Elon Musk on this channel, but this is kind of interesting, kind of important. So I did cover the topic of Paul Pelosi being attacked at his San Francisco home, and we were told that the guy that we see in front of you, us, David DePape, 42 years of age, was the culprit. We were also told about his um, right wing political preferences, and we were also told about his the sexual abuse accusations made against him by his own children. So we were told about that. Um, and since then, some more information has come out, or perhaps I should say, some more speculation has come out. So it might well be misinformation, but there are some accusations that the suspect, David DePape, was actually a guest within the house, within the home of Nancy and Paul Pelosi's. That's the accusation, that he was, in fact, a guest. He was welcomed into the home. And there are suggestions that he may indeed be a gay lover of the victim, Paul Pelosi. He may be Paul Pelosi's gay lover. Indeed, there is speculation out there that he may indeed be a male prostitute. David DePape may be a male prostitute. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying that that's an accusation that I believe, but those accusations have been made. And Hillary Clinton made a tweet. She said, "The Republican Party and its mouthpieces now regularly spread hate and deranged conspiracy theories. It is shocking, but not surprising, that violence is the result. As citizens, we must hold them accountable for their words and the actions that follow." We're not sure who the them is. I think the them are the Republican Party, perhaps those that are supportive of Republican views. They could be the them, not entirely sure. Hillary has done what a lot of people do, and that is be purposefully vague when they try to cover their arse, give themselves plausible deniability. But in any case, Elon Musk replied to Hillary Clinton's tweet and says, "There is a tiny possibility that there may be more to this story than meets the eye." And he's posted a further tweet which links to an article which discusses what I've kind of mentioned, that there are rumors, there are suggestions, there's at least one article which could be entirely fabricated, saying that San Francisco's gay bars close at 2 a.m. Two gay men met in a bar and they went home together, and that allegedly is a description of Paul Pelosi and David DePape. Whether or not it's true or not, I couldn't tell you. I'm not there, but I thought this was certainly an interesting addition to the story, which I covered yesterday in yesterday's live stream. So I thought I'd go over it here just to mention that the official narrative in regards to the Paul Pelosi attack, where seemingly he had to have surgery to repair a fracture to his skull. Paul Pelosi also, we're told, had surgery to repair severe injuries to his right arm and I believe both hands after being hit hit with a hammer, allegedly by this guy David DePape, 42 years of age. That's the story that we've been told. That's the official narrative, but there are suggestions which I'm going to say are somewhat supported by Elon Musk, or at least Elon Musk pointed to these suggestions that Paul Pelosi was in a dispute with a male prostitute, David DePape being the male prostitute that he was having an argument with. You know, make of that what you will. Make of that what you will. I don't know what to believe. I'm not sure that it's a subject that I'm going to give a great deal of further thought. I don't know. Don't feel the need to give it a great deal more further thought. So I'm going to move on to another creep. Harvey Weinstein has been sentenced to 23 years in prison after addressing his accusers in court. So I'm not going to go through the full article, but it kind of is somewhat of a closure to this saga with Harvey Weinstein being sentenced to 23 years in prison on Wednesday in a New York courtroom, the culmination of a case that fueled the global #MeToo movement. And the case encouraged women to speak out against sexual abuse. That seems to have all died down now. #MeToo. Here's a quote from Harvey Weinstein. "I really feel remorse for the situation. I feel it deeply in my heart. I will spend my time really caring and really trying to be a better person." So he's presenting himself in court. Perhaps there's truth in what he says. Perhaps he is genuinely remorseful. Perhaps he isn't. In quite a bit of to quite a bit of an extent, I don't really care, to be honest. To me, remorse doesn't detract from the crimes that are committed, and he's been found guilty of a number of crimes which we'll go through, but they include sexual assault upon various numerous female victims, as well as rape as well. So we'll go through a little bit further of the article. Harvey Weinstein, 67 years of age, arrived at his sentencing hearing in a wheelchair and in handcuffs. He faced between 5 and 29 years in prison for last month's convictions on first-degree criminal sexual assault and third-degree rape. The judge sentenced him to 20 years in prison for a criminal sexual act and 3 years in prison for rape. The sentences will run consecutively and both come with 5 years of supervision after release. So 20 years in prison for a criminal sexual act, 3 years in prison for rape. So that's 23 years in jail, as long as he doesn't get parole. So prosecutors are happy with that. The defense aren't. The defense argued for a 5-year sentence in jail, given his ill health, his frail health. The defense have argued that the 23 years is obscene, obnoxious, cowardly, and other negative adjectives that they care to think of. Yeah, but what do you think? Do you think 23 years for what Harvey Weinstein has been convicted of last month? Do you think it's justified? I do. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, literally being convicted of rape, literally being convicted of multiple sexual assault accounts, sexual battery, and what have you. He also faces further charges of forcible rape, forcible oral copulation, oral copulation, sexual penetration by use of force, sexual battery. So these are further charges that he faces, which will be uh, they'll be pursued in Los Angeles. Apparently, these incidences happened over a two-day period in February 2013. So there we go. Harvey Weinstein, famous movie producer, the focal point of the hashtag #MeToo movement, was convicted last month of a variety of sexual assault crimes, and now he's been charged to 23 years in total. He faces further charges for incidences which allegedly happened in 2013 in Los Angeles. But he's expressing remorse for whatever that's worth. To me, it's not worth anything at all. So we're going to move on to the next subject. And this is a terrible, terrible, terrible topic. So I'll give you a trigger warning. 3 young children aged 10 months, 10 years of age, and 12 years of age, as well as a young father, 22 years of age. 3 young children and a young father have died in a Bronx fire. So this happened Sunday, Quimby Avenue in the Bronx. 4 lives taken, including a 10-month-old girl. So we're going to read through some of the details here. A 22-year-old man and 3 children have died in a terrifying inferno after a fire broke out on Quimby Avenue in the Bronx on Sunday. Fire officials saw flames spilling out of the windows of the house and heard gut-wrenching screams when they arrived on the premises, Quimby Avenue, at 6 a.m. Sunday. Cries in Arabic, which translate to "Help me, God, help me, God." Cries in Arabic were heard coming from the burning house before officers rushed to the scene. Here's a quote from a local resident, a neighbor. "You could see their little hands banging on the windows. I see the hands in the windows, and then the flames wash up on the windows, and there was no more sound." 2 little boys aged 10 and 12 died in the fire. Police pulled out their 22-year-old brother. They rushed the 22-year-old to the hospital along with his baby daughter, who was 10 months old. Neither died, neither survived. Three men did run up the stairs to try and kick the door down to try to save the family. Local neighbors tried to save the family, but unfortunately, they weren't successful. So 4 deaths, 3 children, 10 months of age, 10 years of age, 12 years of age, as well as the father of the 10-month-old. He was 22 years of age. Neighbors try to help, neighbors try to save them, but unfortunately, they weren't able to. So that's a Ring door camera from a house opposite the area. This happened in the Bronx. Police managed to pull a 21-year-old woman and a 41-year-old man out of the flaming building. They are both in critical condition. One neighbor rescued a mother and her child before the flames could spread. The article goes in more details, but I'm not going to read through all of the details there. It's a little bit harrowing. All of the family members were from the Yemeni community. They were from the Yemeni community. Faith leaders were seen leaving candles in commemoration of those who died in Sunday's fire. So 4 dead. However, it does seem that there were 4 survivors, if I'm understanding correctly. A 21-year-old woman, a 41-year-old man, a mother and her child were rescued, as far as I understand. Although, having said that, The 21-year-old woman and the 41-year-old man are currently in critical condition. We're not told of the medical condition of the other mother and the other child that's mentioned. All from the Yemeni community. A team of more than 100 firefighters and emergency services managed to get the fire under control just before 8 a.m. And Mayor Eric Adams has visited the remains of the home, and he's also promised to help the community recover. He's also lived through 2 house fires. And here's a quote from Mayor Eric Adams. "We are going to be here for the family to make sure we can assist with all the burials and all the support they need at this time." The cause of the fire is being investigated. It's not expected to be criminal. So what I'm gathering, and I could be entirely wrong, but what I'm gathering is that there are too many fires, house fires, residential home fires in New York City. There are too many of them. If I'm gathering correctly, perhaps a lot of the properties were built, I'm guessing off the top of my head, but a while back in the 50s and the 60s, and the wiring has aged. They don't quite have the safety precautions in place. That's what I'm gathering. Could be entirely wrong, but am I right? I think I've read something. I've seen some intimation that there are too many house fires in New York, way more than one would expect, and seemingly it's down to the safety aspects within the homes, the electricity boards, circuit boards, and what have you. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but that's my basic understanding. So, let's hope there's some improvement there. Um, I think Mayor Eric Adams, has done the right thing by addressing the situation, by visiting the burnt home, and by stepping in to pay for the burials of those that have lost their lives. So I applaud Mayor Eric Adams in this regard. I don't always, but got to give some support when it's appropriate to. So we're going to move on to this article, and this, thankfully, is more of a blessing. It's not a complete blessing, of course, but a rapper by the name of Brendan Burt. He has a rap name, Blaze96. He's been celebrated as a hero after he saved the lives of 4 people by alerting them to the flames engulfing their home as they slept. This happened in Iowa just over a week ago, October the 23rd. So the guy in question, Brendan Burt, here he is, known as Blaze96. He's an aspiring rapper. He actually was driving home, if I understand correctly, but he took the wrong turn. He went down a road that he shouldn't have gone down, and he saw a house on fire. And he says, "I just felt like somebody was in there because it was so late at night." So he saw a fire in a house. He didn't want to drive past. He didn't want to palm it off as someone else's problem. He felt that there was a good chance that at least one human being would be in the home because it was late at night. So he ran up to the windows and he started banging on the windows to wake up whomever was inside. Thankfully, he did. 3 children aged 8, 14, and 17, as well as their elder brother, 22-year-old Bryce Harrison. They were all asleep inside, and they were all woken up by this hero, Brendan Burt, also known as Blaze96, an aspiring rapper. Blaze96 banged on the windows and woke up the 4 people inside, including 3 children. They were all able to leave. They were all able to run out of the home, and they were saved. There's a video. I'm not sure if it's on this article. Yeah, here it is. I've not seen it yet, but this is from the Ring doorbell camera of the home that's on fire. So I'll play this now. Whoa, look at that. Wow. So they were asleep. The fire alarm didn't go off. And I mean, so lucky that they could run out like that under a blanket of flames. There we go. There, that must be Bryce, the 22-year-old. I was, he stayed in there for quite a bit after the other three. I mean, you could say that's a miracle that they're all able to get out alive. So we're going to carry on looking through the details. So yeah, this is all down to Brendan Burt, Blaze 96. He alerted the sleeping family. If it wasn't for him, what would have happened? They would have carried on sleeping. And we can see that they were lucky to get out, at this state. I mean, how many more minutes, how many more seconds until they would have had no chance to get out? Um, there is some sadness. The home is destroyed. 5 of the 7 dogs have died. But thankfully, all the children, as well as Bryce, have survived. It took 5 hours to get the fire blaze under control, and the fire is under investigation. Um, the hero has been embraced by the children since then. Brendan Burt, he's been speaking with the children every day. So he's now part of the family, of course. He's saved their lives. So he's very much a loved one at this point. And there we go. So a brightness. So a lot of these topics are incredibly dark, incredibly sad. But that was a brighter story. A loss of a house. 5 dogs died, but thankfully 3 children escaped, seemingly unscathed. I may be wrong. Seemingly unscathed, and also the 22-year-old Bryce seems to be unscathed too, all safe and well. Here's a GoFundMe. They've got quite a bit of a way to go. 8,000 raised of a 30,000 goal. If you're in a position to donate, perhaps this is one that you'd like to consider. So there's a GoFundMe, the Lehman Family House Fire Fund. So I do hope that they do get the funds that they need um, to carry on with their lives. They are currently homeless. They have nothing left. So yeah, this family needs a lot of help. If you're in a position to help, then please do consider that donating. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next subject, but of course, full condolences to the family for losing their house, for being in the financial situation that they're currently in, for losing their dogs. But what a blessing. You guys have got angels looking over you ultimately. What a blessing that your family's been saved by Brendan Burt, Blaze 96. And I'll say, what a blessing that we have things like GoFundMe nowadays to help people get the support that they need. So again, I do hope that they do get closer and indeed exceed their goal. I think they deserve that. But we'll move on to the next subject, and this is an incredibly harrowing topic. So I'm going to give you a trigger warning. It involves the horrific murder of a 6-year-old girl. So we're going to have a look through most of the details here. Here's the scumbag in question. His name, John Edward Kraft, the father. A 50-year-old father in Pennsylvania is facing multiple felony charges connected to a barbaric form of punishment that he allegedly inflicted upon his 6-year-old daughter. Beating, strangling, and burying the girl alive in a hole in the yard. He left her there overnight. The scumbag John Edward Croft was arrested on Friday. He's been charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count each of strangulation, unlawful restraint, false imprisonment of a minor by a parent, and endangering the welfare of a child by a guardian. He literally beat, strangled, and buried his 6-year-old daughter in a hole in their yard. What an absolute fucking piece of evil shit. So, last month, a social worker from the town in Pennsylvania, Greene County, told police that the 6-year-old girl's face contained severe bruising. Investigators sat down and interviewed the girl and her siblings for a series of talks 2 weeks ago, and they learned some disturbing facts. Oh, hang on a second. The girl's siblings said that the father was physically and emotionally abusive, and specifically told police that the father allegedly buried the girl alive in a hole in the yard, which left her smelling like sewage. This happened in Waynesburg. The victim confirmed her siblings' story, telling investigators that the father would bury her in the yard when he believes that she is lying. So it sounds like this 6-year-old girl was buried multiple times. In addition to being buried alive, the victim reportedly told investigators that her father would whip her with a belt and beat her with his arm, which has a metal rod in it from surgery. What a scumbag. Authorities reportedly documented the injuries covering the victim's body, which police say were in various stages of healing, which is a telltale sign of ongoing physical abuse. Here's a quote from the DA, district attorney. The allegations are that this child was beaten brutally, that the child had bruises all over her body, that she was choked to the point that she had passed out. She was buried in a hole as punishment. She was thrown in a hole overnight. Her head was slammed off the wall and slammed off the floor. The other children told police that the 6-year-old girl was often choked to the point of unconsciousness. Okay. All right. So this is the part that I really wanted to get to. Following the father's arrest, the victim and her siblings were moved into foster care. He's been held on a bond of 125,000. Okay, so I think I'm understanding this correct. Hopefully, I'm not being a complete idiot here, but I believe the girl survived. If I'm understanding correctly, the girl has survived, which of course is what we want to hear. So we're told that the girl has severe bruising on her face. She was left in the hole overnight. She smelt like sewage. She was often beaten with a belt. But if I'm understand correctly, she has survived. So it says here, following the father's arrest, the victim and her siblings were moved into foster care. So yeah, I think that's great news. I was thinking that she had died. But thankfully, that's not the case. So I hope this guy gets exactly what he deserves. I mean, attempted murder, whatever the charges are against him, the article's not telling us multiple felony charges, but he should get attempted murder and he should get, in my opinion, life in prison. If that's not possible, then he should get as close to it as is possible. But seemingly, thankfully, this 6-year-old girl has survived. So we hope, we pray she gets all of the medical attention that she needs and the psychological, emotional support. She's with a foster parent or foster family, as are her siblings. So hopefully, she's treated extremely well, embraced. Hopefully, the CPS, the Child Protective Services, are looking over her, making sure that she gets everything that she needs. So I'm going to move on to the next subject here. Um, just bear with me a quick moment. Um, all right. You know what? I'm gonna end the live stream at this point. I've been going for half an hour, and I haven't quite had anybody come in as yet. That's fine. That's fine. But it's quite difficult to do the live streams, and feeling a little bit not quite on my best form. But that's fine. These things, you get better as you move forward. But for now, I'm going to wrap things up. But I do hope and expect to do another live stream tomorrow. And if not tomorrow, then certainly over the next few days. But I think that's what I'll do. If I feel like I'm a little bit tired or such, then I'll just allow myself to wrap things up. I think that seems fair enough. So that's what I'll do at this point. If you do watch this after the fact, oh, Amy's driving and listening. Oh, so I'm sorry to disappoint you there, Amy. Yeah, I think I'll just wrap things up at this point, um, Amy. But thanks for saying hello. And I will probably do another live stream tomorrow. I'm going to try to do these daily live streams, perhaps, see how I go. And sometimes they'll be really pleasant, and other times they might not be. So we'll just see how we go. But anyway, thanks for listening, Amy. Drive safe, and perhaps you can say hello tomorrow. Alrighty, I'll wrap things up. Thanks.